Yeah, so definitely in just my work with clients, like working with, some darker skinned women, the impact of maybe there's like some low self-esteem, feelings of depression, feelings of feeling unlovable or unwanted or undesirable based on their skin tone. And a lot of this coming from messages received, over the years. And I think
Mm.
that kind of goes back to the programming that exists. Because, I mean, if we're talking about colorism, it didn't start with us, right? This really came from the overarching of racism, really. And so when we're thinking about how much that has leaked into our society when it comes to just us as Black people, how that has trickled down into putting us kind of against each other. Like, I know when I was like high school, college, there was always like hashtag team light skin, team dark skin, like that
Wow.
kind of thing. And it's like it has those messages are there, like as subtle as maybe it seems, it's still really insidious in nature of its impact. I mean, that's still
Wow.
harmful. And
Yeah.
so, like when I'm working with my clients who are darker complected and they're talking about, feeling low self-esteem, feeling undesirable, feeling unwanted, it kind of goes back of like we're peeling back these layers of, okay, where did this come from? And it really stems from this subliminal messaging that has been pushed out in our media, in our entertainment, and music and movies and all of these things, and even just like their day-to-day experiences, because you're also probably interacting with another Black person who's also been programmed
Yeah.
to these implicit subconscious biases that dark is not as good or not as desirable. And so that adds to those experiences. Maybe there's some bullying that happened in childhood with some name calling based on their skin tone. That also plays a role because that sticks to somebody sometimes. And so working with my clients who've experienced that side of the spectrum where like now they're experiencing some low self-esteem, finding it hard to embrace their skin tone, hard to finding it to be empowered by their skin color. Those are types of things that I've seen.
Is that something that you have to tread lightly on as far as helping them uh recover from that type of like mindset and trauma? Because I know when you're dealing with racism and colorism and things like that, and you're dealing with any type of thing, it can be something that you might have to tread lightly on as far as your profession. Um, you have to circle around with the questioning or like helping them. Like, so what is your method? When you're approaching situations like that you would have to do.
Yeah, so I mean, let's do an example, a little case study, right? So like, I don't know, let's say there's like a 25-year-old dark-skinned woman coming in, maybe she's got some low self-esteem, some anxiety, right? I would probably be
Mm.
like, ask questions around like, okay, where did this come from for you? Where did this start? Like, is your mind telling you about yourself that where you're not seeing yourself as beautiful or worthy, right? And then maybe that opens up to well, I don't really like my skin tone, or, maybe I wish I was lighter, or, I don't really feel as desired by men or women or whatever, um, because of this. And it's like, okay, well, let's talk about it. Like, where did that come from? Why do you feel that way? And then, it opens up to, oh, well, maybe this happened in childhood. I got bullied, I got called this and that because of my skin tone, and or this guy said he didn't want to date me because I was dark, or like these kind of situations. When you see, it starts painting a picture, and it starts putting together a timeline of how did this develop and how did this thought process grow about yourself. And now you have this internal messaging that says, I'm not as desired, I'm not as lovable because of this. And we have to do a lot of like reworking around that, because we know that that's not true, but we know what the messaging was. And so we have to being able to really unpack and pull back those layers. And it's really like because, it's an institutionalized systemic issue, right? Like it's beyond like the individual level. It goes into
Yes.
the whole, like we got to go all the way back. We got to go back centuries to where this even started. So it's kind of like, we put that education there and that awareness, say, hey, something's not, ooh, sorry, y'all. Something's not right with this messaging, and we need to be able to find some ways to empower you to embrace your skin tone and being able to challenge some of that messaging because it is harmful.